And she also invented brakes. Driving this thing through the fields and discovering it doesn't have brakes or they don't work. Well, Carl's back in the barn just hanging out with his buddies, stapling wire to a frame. Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Chip the Historian, and today we're here to discuss Bertha Benz, the co-creator of the first car. So in the beginning, the first car was created in 1886 in Germany by Carl and Bertha Benz. And to be honest, the Pottenwagen, would not have happened without Bertha's contributions. Cecilia Bertha Ringer was born to a wealthy family in what is now Baden-Württemberg in southwestern Germany in May of 1849. Sometime in her late teens, Bertha met Carl Benz, and it must have gone pretty well because by the age of 21, Bertha had used a large part of her dowry to buy out Carl's shady business partner in their construction company. Carl's an amazing inventor, but it appears from the research I was doing for this that his original business partner was shady as hell. They ended up having their tools and machines impounded by the government for not paying back debts. And so that led to Bertha buying out the other half of the business, starting in 1870, and then she fully bought him out by 1872, and that was the same year that they got married. Carl and Bertha got married. Bertha was able to buy out Carl's business partner before they were married due to German law. She still had financial agency. However, Bertha gave up her agency, both financially and as an inventor. And this is going to come back to play a little bit later. So over these next 14 years, Carl, who had been a lifelong bicycle hobbyist, started another business, a bicycle business with a few of his bicycling buddies. By this stage, he'd already been tinkering with two-stroke engines for a while and different sorts of internal combustion engines and trying to map them to bicycles and this and that. This is when things really start to take off because now Carl's got access to frames and tires and wheels and all of these things. He can start Frankensteining together this weird three-wheeled horseless carriage. And as he's putting all of this together, he needed a test pilot. Well, who better to ask than the person you're closest to in your life? Bertha became the world's first automotive test driver. And in doing so, proved the importance and the need for test drivers, but also gave notes to Carl on things that needed adjusted or looked at or modified with his creation, with what would become the Pottenwagen. Bertha is credited with adding insulated wiring, understanding the need for lower gears and more gears, because the original one was just a the original Pottenwagen was just a single geared vehicle, meaning the drive wheels went as fast as the engine was going. That's about it. And she also invented brakes. Because this is the most boys will be boys thing I have read in a very long time. Carl and his buddies, when they were working on the Pottenwagen, it's what's known as an axle brake. It's just kind of a clamp that, goes around the rear axle as it spins with wooden blocks. As you can imagine, this was not very efficient. So Bertha came up with the idea of using leather and on the brake chute to clamp down on the rear axle. So Bertha Benz created what was the early brake shoes for the first automobiles. I mean, can you just imagine her in the 1885 or whatever, leading up to the unveiling of the Pottenwagen, and we'll get to that here in a second. She, just driving this thing through the fields and discovering it doesn't have brakes or they don't work. Well, Carl's back in the barn just hanging out with his buddies, stapling wire to a frame, So when 1886 rolls around, Carl and Bertha have been working together on this thing, and in 1886 is when they started selling them to the public for, I think it was like 600 German marks, which is something like $4,300-ish today in 2022. So Bertha, understanding the need for publicity for the world's first car, nobody'd really ever seen anything like this, unknowingly to Carl, took out one of the Pottenwagens and drove it, was it like 60 something kilometers to her mom's place. So Bertha reported everything that happened along the way, including she had to stop at pharmacies to refuel because these things ran off of a type of alcohol that you could really only purchase at a pharmacy. It's not like gas stations exist. It's not like she's going to go to Quick Trip and refuel. There is no Quick Trip. There's no gas stations. There's no petrol. This hasn't been invented yet, let alone the infrastructure for it to be abundantly easy to refuel. So along the way, Bertha also discovered the need, as I mentioned earlier, the lower gears. She repaired the transmission with her stockings. And in doing so, she cemented a legacy of what would become Mercedes and the legacy of the automobile. So in addition to her financial contributions, her dowry, saving Carl's business in the beginning, and then continuing to help finance this project through the next, almost 20 years, Bertha also helped contribute through her ideas of brakes and multi-gear transmissions and better wiring and numerous other things that I'm sure haven't made it into the history books. Because at this time in the 19th century, in German law, because now we're in the 1870s, so we're getting close to unification, women were not allowed to hold patents, especially married women. So the records gave all of the credit of the creation of the first automobile to Carl Benz. Now, Carl did go on to form a company later on with his buddy Daimler, and that went on to become the Mercedes-Benz Corporation. Mercedes was Daimler's daughter. That was her name, Mercedes-Benz. Bertha's story has become more prevalent, and as Mercedes themselves has been at the forefront of getting her story out there. They've done a wonderful job through their outreach of increasing the awareness of Bertha's contribution to the first car. Let's remember how much of an impact automobiles have had in the last 160 years. We've completely transformed the geography of this planet to accommodate automobiles, and we've created multi-trillion-dollar industry. All thanks to Carl and Bertha Benz. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and click the notification bell so you know when new videos are released. All right.